Queria café, por favor.
That's sexy, really? I'm not sure if it's from Brazil, but Brazilian wax.
No. A lot of people say it sounds like a drunk Russian trying to speak Spanish.
I can actually fall asleep while I'm listening to him.
Hello.
I'm biased to say. I think it can be.
I think it depends on what you're saying, though.
Yeah, it depends on what you're saying. I think the thing about Portuguese, it's not only the voice itself. We can make the sentences very flirty, even though if you think about it like translation-wise, it doesn't sound flirty. I think that's the good thing about Portuguese, and that's why maybe it can sound very sexy sometimes.
I think it can definitely sound sexy. We have so many words to express affection and love.
Yes.
So if you mix them, you can like be super specific kind of and show signs of how you feel about someone just by the words you're using.
Even if you don't say directly like, I'm saying that, like...
Yeah, you can kind of tell by the words you're using.
Yeah, it's very flexible.
Yeah, I feel like we're very poetic, and especially when we're trying to flirt. So like we use a lot of other ways of describing rather than say directly. That's why like Portuguese can sound sexy.
Of course, there's a big difference between Portugal and Brazil.
Absolutely.
Stereotypically, Brazilian Portuguese tends to sound more romantic or more sexy because it's more melodical. Portuguese is more like staccato and rough, very to the point, I guess.
Both of them, they are sexy in their way and the way they deliver their message. Because like, again, about Portuguese is more the way they deliver the message rather than necessarily what they're speaking. And that means intonation, because like our language has a lot of intonations. Not intonation in a word, but like on the sentence. So the way you make it fluid can make it sound more sexy.
Yeah, it says a lot about your personality also.
Yes. We can tell a lot just by the way someone speaks. Portugal is like, when they speak, I feel like it's very much more closed up in the mouth. They cut some vowels. It feels very much suppressed and like very direct. Some people in Brazil, we also say like that Portugal is the German Portuguese because it's more like ta, right?
But I would argue that can make it sound more elegant.
It can, I agree.
Yeah.
In a way, it sounds like Frenchy.
And stereotypically, I think Brazilians say that Portuguese from Portugal sounds very formal. If you like that and you think that's attractive, then it could be something for you. While Brazilian Portuguese, although it's like very melodical, maybe it sounds kind of informal.
Very informal. And I feel like our way, it's more like we kind of break the barrier of like, I don't know you. So it's more of like breaking walls. So like, I feel like Portugal can be a type of sexy that it's more like controlling, while Brazilian Portuguese type of sexy, it's more like I'm gonna invade your space, sort of. That sounds weird. I don't know how that's gonna be in the video, but anyway.
So I'm gonna talk really Portuguese from Portugal. Olá, queria café, por favor. That's why we say Portugal's Portuguese sounds so elegant. It's because when we're asking for something, we say like, I would like to have this.
That's your flirting?
That's my flirting.
Oh my God, how?
That sounds kind of sexy, you know?
If you see me in a club, you're gonna go like, me dá café, por favor.
No. Olá, queria café, por favor.
Olá, eu gostaria de café, por favor.
This scenario is Julia is the barista, you know, and we're trying to seduce Julia. Hola, you know? That's the vibe.
Yeah, that thing like the hot guy enters the cafe.
Exactly. And then you're like, oh wow, the barista is kind of cute. Let me talk to her. And you talk all nice, like, hola. How would you approach?
I think I would go, oi, você tem Insta?
You guys are messing up badly.
That sounds very informal because in Portuguese, when you're asking for someone's number or something, you would say like, dás-me o teu Insta, ou tu tens Instagram, ou uma cena assim.
The coffee, he turned out better, but the Insta, he got it better. Portugal, it felt like he was making fun of it, like, hola. And he came like with a more like a formal way of Portuguese. We used like a more of the R. I don't know, but the Insta, the way he put it grammatically and like the way his voice sounded was better. Like it felt more like,
Yeah, I think you can tell the difference in some small things. Like, for example, apologizing. I think you guys just say like desculpa, but most times we say like peço desculpa. I ask for your apology.
It's more formal.
Yeah, so it can be very like elegant and like staccato and...
Okay, imagine you have to flirt with me, a girl, in a club, in a restaurant. Like, you see me, you have to come talk to me, convince me to talk to you.
So we're in a club, dancing. Olá. Ei, olha, adoro o teu cabelo. Olá. Estás-me a ouvir? E também adoro a tua roupa, já agora. Tipo, o teu outfit está mesmo bonito, a sério. Pá, vi-te lá de longe e achei que eras mesmo gira e queria falar contigo.
In Brazil, I think it would be like, oi, então, eu te vi ali de longe, achei você muito bonita, achei bem atraente. Eu queria saber se você tem algum tempo livre pra gente poder se conhecer.
I think that sounds more direct.
That's very direct. Yours sounded very flattering. Both were bad.
Okay.
It's really hard to tell. I am Brazilian, I understand Portuguese, but if I'm not thinking about the content, your intonation is better, but the way you pronounce words is better. Like it sounds more attractive.
And what about the content? Because I feel like that's also very different.
You were like more talking about my appearance. Oh, I like your hair, I liked your style, you're so different, can we talk? And he was more like, I thought you were so beautiful over there, so I came here and I wanted to talk to you. In this case, I think I prefer more direct, but I think it's like personal taste. But overall, I think most people would like something more direct. However, the approach could have been slower. Like, it's hard to put it like that.
No, I get it.
His approach was slow, but too slow.
That's so hard. This is just my personal experience. It depends a lot, but maybe they appreciate the slow approach more.
Same, that's why, like I said, like you were too fast, but you were too slow.
Mostly in Portugal, people try to complement also other things first.
Can I put a mix? If it was a mix of them together, it would be like, okay, now it's good, now it's sexy. Portuguese is sexy. Okay, I would apologize for my fellow Brazilian. For this situation, I vote for Portuguese from Portugal as the sexiest. And now we are going to see how Asians react to Portuguese from Portugal and Portuguese from Brazil. Who is the sexiest? Let's see.
브라질은 삼바 and 일본 반대편에 있어요. 축구가 포르투갈은 뭔가 스포츠 선수들의 이미지가 있고 포르투갈어를 쓰는 나라가 몇 개 있다 이 정도로밖에 모르겠어요. 일본에 브라질 사람이 많이 사는 것보다는 브라질에 아마 이민강 일본 사람이 많을 거예요. 있어요. 스페인어랑 좀 비슷한 건 알고 있는데 잘 아는 단어는 없어요.
Eu gosto imenso de viajar. Já estive em alguns países aqui na Ásia. Eu antes vivia na Tailândia, então tive a oportunidade de viajar para muitos países diferentes.
프랑스어 같아요. 소리만 들면 프랑스어 같아요. 계속 이렇게 얘기하니까 하나도 못 알아들 것 같은데 중간에 프렌치라고 한 건 들었어요.
A lot of people say this actually, because Portuguese from Portugal sounds a little bit more elegant because we speak in a more formal way. People that don't understand it say it sounds like French.
I think it's because like both languages are kind of like you speak it with your mouth kind of shut. Like
Yeah,
it's not
yeah,
very
yeah,
it's not very open, so
Yeah.
I think it sounds a little bit similar. Yeah.
로맨틱할 수도? 근데 약간 스페인어 같은 게 조금 더 열정적이게 들리는데 포르투갈어는 조금 더 스페인어랑 비슷하다고 알고 있었으니까 그거에 비해서는 좀 얌전한 느낌?
Bom, seguindo nessa lógica de países, acho que é interessante falar que agora eu vim aqui para a Coreia, é a minha primeira vez tendo uma experiência internacional.
뭔가 아까가 조금 더 독일어랑 프랑스어 사이 같았고 지금이 조금 더 스페인어랑 프랑스어 사이 같았어요. 약간 브르르 이런 발음이 좀 들려서 확실하진 않은데 아깝게 날카로웠고 지금이 조금 더 약간 부드러운 느낌? 제가 느끼기에 이쪽이 좀 더 섹시하게 느껴졌어요. 둘 다 비슷하긴 했는데 저는 약간 이렇게 되는 발음이 섹시한 것보단 좀 더 다딱한 느낌? 엄격한 느낌이 들어서 그것보다는 약간 브르르 이런 발음 있는 게 섹시하게 느껴졌어요. 두 가지 언어를 들어봤는데 저는 브라질이 좀 더 섹시하게 들리는 것 같아요.
Like I just watched from the TikTok video, like there's the interview on the street, like people say like Brazilian is the sexiest language in the world. So
Acho interessante falar que, como ela é do Vietnã, né? Onde eu trabalho, no restaurante que eu trabalho.
it sounds like not sexy, really. Not really romantic. It's just like you talk with your friends.
Estavas a falar, portanto eu também vou dizer algo parecido. Eu estive no Vietnã o ano passado e gostei muito. Estive em duas cidades diferentes.
It sounds like the compared to him, he sounds more softer and more melodic. Maybe also because of the voice. His voice sounds like warmer. It makes me feel more romantic, sexier. So in conclusion, I vote for him, Brazilian. It's hard.
It's like the stereotype that Brazilian sounds sexier.
In my opinion, actually, though, Portugal has a better.
Most Brazilians kind of sound softer than most Portuguese.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's really fun to hear the language like the Portuguese. I hope you guys can enjoy this.
브라질은 고기 먹는 거, 와인 그렇게 잘 알지 않나요?
Wine is pretty accurate. Eu pessoalmente adoro comida chinesa. Em Portugal há imensos restaurantes chineses e eu vou sempre imenso com os meus pais.
No Brasil, um fato curioso que, na verdade, todo mundo que já foi pro Brasil pelo menos uma vez sabe é que tem
목소리 텐션이 있고 부드러워하는 남자 같아요. 여기. 저 좋아요. 로맨틱하는 나을 것 같아요. 단어나 말은 비슷하는데 저는 여기 이쪽에 더 재밌어요.
Okay, so when I think of Portugal, like maybe red wine, they produce red wine and like the cork for the wine, am I correct?
Wow, how do you know that?
I like wine, so yeah. And for Brazil, maybe like sports, like soccer, like the gigantic statue. What do you call that?
Cristo Redentor.
Like, yeah, Christ the Redeemer in
Yeah.
English. Yeah, for Brazil, I think about that. Normally, I don't like mingle with Portuguese and like Brazilian people, so it's interesting to like hear them speak today.
Fato interessante que eu acho que muitas pessoas jovens costumam falar nas redes sociais, as pessoas jovens brasileiras.
Okay, so first of all, he has a like soft voice, so I think that's kind of add to the like sexiness of the language, even though I don't understand what he actually said, but based on his tone and like his pronunciation, there's a lot of air coming out of his like mouth when he speaks, so it's a bit calmer and softer. Like, I can actually fall asleep while I'm listening to him.
Mas eu quero deixar claro que nós estamos a improvisar, portanto eu não faço a mínima o que dizer. Mas, por acaso, em Portugal não se fala muito sobre a Ásia no geral.
So while he was speaking, I kind of like imagined myself watching Emily in Paris, if you know that movie, like on Netflix. So he kind of sounded like French to me because of the like tone and the like a little bit of air. Yeah, they are kind of like similar but also different in some ways. Like he's like milder and softer. Like he has like convincing voice for me.
Brazil, I think of like soccer and coffee.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I don't know much about Portuguese, but I know you guys are famous for egg tarts.
Yeah.
Egg tarts, yeah.
Egg tarts, yeah. I'm so shocked that no one mentioned Ronaldo so far.
I know Portugal's next to Spain, so that's why I know it, but I don't know in detail about. Personally, I think Portuguese, just because Spanish itself is, I think it's a very romantic language.
Portanto, ela é da Coreia e eu estou a tentar aprender um bocado coreano. Só que não, eu achava que ia ser mais difícil.
It sort of sounded like French. Yeah, the way he was saying it, like the pronunciation, it sort of sounded French, and I also think some words sounded sort of English.
Também ia falar sobre aprender coreano, porque na verdade eu acabei vindo para a Coreia porque eu comecei a aprender coreano.
It sounded sort of Italian. Maybe it's because you were like rolling your R's. French and Italian. Portuguese, I think, sounded a little sexier. Words itself, it sounded more soft compared to Brazil. I think that's why.
Obviously, both countries are so well known for football. Ronaldo. I'm not sure if it's from Brazil, but Brazilian wax.
Oh, yeah.
You're well known for port wine.
Port wine, wow, the first person to mention it. I'm from Porto and it's produced there.
I really like port wine.
Oh.
I've never heard a Portuguese. Portuguese will sound more Spanish, and I think Spanish is really sexy.
Bom, ela falou sobre os dois países lembrarem futebol. Eu acho que é válido comentar que
I think his voice is really sweet. I'm not sure if it's the language or just his voice, but it sounds really sweet. Yeah, and kind of like, in a way, sexy, I guess.
Para continuar o que estavas a dizer, eu acho que os portugueses hoje em dia, quando pensam em Portugal, ainda pensam muito em futebol.
It actually kind of sounds like a mix of French and Russian.
A lot of people say it sounds like a drunk Russian trying to speak Spanish.
Oh, yeah, I get
God,
that. I get it. But it sounds like kind of like you have like the confidence in yourself. Like you're sure about what you're talking about. Like Brazil, I kind of like this sweet tone and like this soft voice.
Well, the winner is obviously this guy here.
I'm really not sure.
Yeah, it's
Isn't
you,
it?
it's you.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't take it as an L. I think, to be honest, it's a lot of personal taste. I think if you like someone that sounds more sweet and more melodical, you'll probably go for Brazilian Portuguese. But if you like maybe someone more firm and more elegant in a way, maybe you'll go for Portugal's Portuguese.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of Brazilian people would think Portugal Portuguese would be a little more sexy. As I said before, like, it sounds a lot like French, and a lot of people in Brazil think French is very sexy, so I think...
It's funny because we have the same. We think that Brazilians Portuguese sounds super sexy. We kind of have this image that like Brazil equals like sexiness and like attractive people and everything. Today we try to figure out which Portuguese is sexier, the one from Portugal or the one from Brazil.
If you like the video, please like it, subscribe, and comment down.
See you next time. Bye.